Hey, listen up. What if I told you that in just a few minutes, you could unlock a secret that 90% of people will never grasp? A secret that doesn't just make you smarter, but transforms you into someone who stands out in any crowd. Someone with quiet, unstoppable power. Most folks think being smart is about cramming facts, showing off with big words, or acing every test. But let's be real. Haven't you noticed how some of the so-called smartest people still make terrible choices? Haven't you seen people with fancy degrees or sky-high IQs fall apart when things get tough? If they're so brilliant, why do they keep tripping over their own feet? Here's the real deal. True intelligence isn't about knowing everything. It's about thinking in a way that most people never even dream of. Today I'm going to walk you through 5 powerful mental shifts that will not only make you smarter, but also dangerously effective. I'm talking about the kind of presence that changes the energy in a room without you even trying. No showing off, no loud boasting, just pure, calm strength. Are you ready to dive in? Let's get started. First, let's talk about how you handle disagreements. Most people jump into arguments like they're fighting in a courtroom, desperate to win, to prove they're right, to come out on top. They're so focused on dominating the conversation that they miss the bigger picture. But truly smart people, they don't play that game. They don't care about winning an argument. Instead, they aim to understand. They ask questions like, what makes you think that way? Or, what are you really hoping to achieve here? Or even, have you thought about looking at it from this perspective? They stay cool, curious, and open-minded. And because they're not on the attack, others feel safe to open up. When people let their guard down, the truth comes out. That's the real magic. You don't need to beat anyone in a debate. You just need to get where they're coming from. That's how you change minds and build real connections. Smart people know this, and that's why they're so effective. Now let's move to the second shift. Stop fixating on the moment and start seeing the bigger picture. Most people hit a roadblock and act like it's the end of the world. They flub a presentation at work and spiral into self-doubt. They get turned down for a date and shut themselves off. They struggle through a tough workout and think, I'm just no good at this. But smart people don't take setbacks personally. They don't even label them as failures. To them, every stumble is just information, a piece of data to analyze. They ask themselves, what got me to this point? What patterns led to this outcome? What small change can I make to try again? They see life as a system, not some dramatic story full of highs and lows. When you zoom out far enough, nothing feels final. Every mistake, every misstep, it's all just feedback to help you improve. That's how smart people grow so fast. They don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves. They're too busy adjusting their approach and fine-tuning their system. Third, let's talk about cutting through the noise with one simple game-changing question. Is this in my control? Most people stress out over things they can't do a single thing about. They worry about traffic jams on their way to work. They get worked up over gossip or what someone thinks of them. They lose sleep over the latest news headlines. And the harder they try to control stuff that's out of their hands, the more exhausted and frustrated they become. Smart people don't drain their energy like that. They ask themselves, can I do something about this? If the answer is yes, they take action without hesitation. If the answer is no, they let it go and move on. They don't spiral into worry or overthink things. They cut straight through the clutter. That calm, steady vibe you notice in high achievers? It comes from laser-sharp focus. And that focus isn't about controlling the world around them. It's about mastering themselves. They know where to put their energy, and they don't waste a drop on what doesn't matter. Fourth, let's dive into something most people struggle with: getting comfortable with silence. Have you ever noticed how uneasy people get when there's a pause in conversation? They rush to fill the quiet with anything: jokes, random chatter, even arguments, just to avoid the awkwardness. But smart people, they embrace silence. They own it. They listen way more than they talk. They let the moment sit, giving it space to breathe. They don't feel the need to jump in or interrupt. Instead, they observe. Why does this matter? Because the person who speaks the least often understands the most. When you're not quick to react, you gain a kind of quiet power. Silence makes people lean in. It forces them to reveal more than they plan. And most importantly, it keeps you in control of yourself and the situation. Silence isn't weakness, it's strength. It's a tool that smart people use to see what others miss in all the noise. Fifth, let's talk about the difference between reacting and observing. Picture this: someone says something rude to you. Most people would snap back without a second thought. Or life throws an unexpected challenge your way, and most folks would panic or lose their cool. But smart people do things differently. They pause. They take a deep breath. They watch what's happening around them. They think before they act. That tiny moment of observation gives them an edge, clarity, insight, and a chance to respond with purpose instead of just emotion. Reacting is easy. It's what most people do. But observing, that's where the real power lies. When you take a step back, you notice things others overlook. You become the calm, steady force in the middle of chaos. And that kind of presence, it makes you unforgettable. People can't help but respect someone who stays grounded when everyone else is losing it. Now let's bring this all together with a few final thoughts. You don't need a fancy degree or a PhD to be truly smart. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room or the quickest to learn every little thing. What you do need is a shift in how you think. Start asking questions instead of arguing to win. Zoom out and see the system instead of panicking over every little setback. Focus only on what you can control, and let go of the rest. Embrace silence as a strength, not something to fear. And always observe before you react. These aren't just random tips. They're a way of rewiring your mind to operate on a whole new level. Most people won't take the time to make these changes. They'll keep rushing through life, overreacting to every little thing, and draining their own energy in the process. But you, if you start building these mental habits right now, you won't just feel smarter. You'll be smarter. You'll be calmer, sharper, and unshakable in a way that sets you apart. Let me share a quick story to drive this home. Imagine two friends, Jake and Sarah, who both face the same challenge. They're pitching a business idea to a group of investors, hoping to secure $50,000 in funding. Jake spends the night before worrying about every possible thing that could go wrong. He's stressed about how the investors might react, whether they'll like him, and if he'll forget his lines. During the pitch, he's nervous, talks too fast, and reacts defensively to tough questions. He walks away feeling defeated, even though the investors haven't made a decision yet. Sarah, on the other hand, approaches it differently. She focuses only on what she can control: her preparation, her delivery, and her attitude. She asks herself, what can I do to make this pitch clear and compelling? When she faces tough questions, she doesn't argue or get flustered. She listens, stays curious, and responds thoughtfully. She even uses moments of silence to let her point sink in. After the pitch, she doesn't stress about the outcome. She reflects on what she learned from the experience and thinks about how to improve next time. Who do you think left a stronger impression? Sarah, of course. Her mindset, built on these 5 mental shifts, gave her the edge, even if she doesn't get the funding. Now, let's talk about how these shifts can play out in everyday life. Think about a time when you've been stuck in traffic. Say, on a 5-kilometer stretch of road during rush hour. Most people would honk, curse, and let their frustration boil over, even though there's nothing they can do to speed things up. But if you apply these mental habits, you'd ask, is this in my control? The answer is no, so you let it go. You might use the time to listen to a podcast, or just breathe and stay calm. Or imagine you're at the gym, lifting weights, and you can't quite manage to bench press 50 kilograms like you plan. Instead of beating yourself up, you zoom out. You think, what led to this? Was I tired? Did I eat enough today? Should I adjust my form? You treat it as data, not failure. These small, everyday moments are where these shifts make the biggest difference. They save your energy, keep you grounded, and help you grow without all the drama. I want to expand on why these habits are so powerful by looking at how they build over time. Let's say you start practicing silence in conversations. At first, it might feel strange to hold back when you're used to jumping in. But after a few weeks, you'll notice people start to respect you more. They'll value your words because you don't waste them. Or take the habit of observing before reacting. Maybe the first time someone criticizes you, it's hard to pause and think. Your instinct might be to fire back. But as you practice that pause, counting to 3 in your head before responding, you'll start to see patterns in how people communicate. You'll pick up on emotions or hidden meanings you used to miss. Over months, these habits stack up. They turn you into someone who doesn't just react to life, but shapes it. You'll handle tough situations with a cool head, whether it's a heated argument at home or a high-stakes meeting at work. You'll become the person others turn to when they need clarity or strength. And here's the best part. These mental shifts don't just make you smarter in an academic way. They make you better at life. They help you build stronger relationships because you're listening and understanding instead of arguing. They help you bounce back from setbacks faster because you see them as learning opportunities, not dead ends. They give you peace of mind because you're not stressing over things you can't change. Imagine walking through your day with that kind of calm confidence. Imagine facing a challenge, say a project at work with a tight deadline of 1 week, and instead of panicking, you break it down, focus on what you can control, and tackle it step by step. That's the kind of power these habits unlock. They don't just change how you think. They change how you live. So, here's my call to action for you. If these ideas hit home, don't just move on to the next thing. Take a moment to let them sink in. If this sparked something inside you, a desire to think differently, to be sharper, to build that quiet strength, then show some love. Like this video to let me know it resonated with you. Drop a comment below with the words, "Quiet Power," so I can see you are part of the 10% who get it. And if you're ready for more, hit that subscribe button. This is just the start of unlocking the real you, the version of yourself that's calm, focused, and unstoppable. Let the rest of the world chase noise and drama. You're here to build something deeper, something lasting, silent strength that speaks louder than words.